to erode our democracy. This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth, I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. The cry from the ghetto, and the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth, I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited. For far too long we have been neglected. The time has come where we must stand united in order to save our country. Yes, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. The cry from the ghetto, and the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we gotta try.
So I am calling on every youth, I am calling on every citizen. Let us unite and save Trinidad and Tobago. For far too long we have been exploited.
got a choice. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better vibes, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got a choice.
And let us fight to defend our democracy in this country. Let us stand together.
Yeah. We cry from the ghetto. And the way on them like they don't care about somebody now. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better vibes, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got a choice. Victor vibes. If you want to see a better vibes, yeah, share the light. When the youth them know we got a choice.
So why we allow this administration to erode our democracy? This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better vibes, yeah, share the light. When the youth them
Allow this administration to erode our democracy. This is a democratic society, and therefore every creed and race must find an equal place.
yeah, Victor vibes.
Blessing, good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction, right here in Atlantic Studio. Today being Sunday, of course, good as any other Sunday. And we want to welcome our viewers, our listeners, those of you who call during the week and make your comments on Douglas Radio, which also would be hosted right here going forward, because of course, as you know, the People's National Movement intention is to stop the information from coming to you. But you know, we are glad that Atlantic Studio have provided the necessary accommodations where we can sit here and we can disseminate the necessary facts into your hearing so you can make an informed decision going forward. You know, we have seen over the last couple of months, we have seen several protests. We have seen protests in Sri Lanka and other areas where people who believe that the government is not working in the interest of their well-being, where they will take the necessary action before the time of voting, before the date. They would have taken the necessary action to force their government to call fresh elections. And this can only happen where the people of the country, when they are informed as to what is taking place within the role of governance, so that they would be able to make a decision to understand that what is happening with the role of governance is not that of democracy, not of that of constitutional bearings, and therefore people have taken solid and firm action in order to bring the government to account. And I am saying today, ladies and gentlemen, these are good examples that you can study, that you could look at, where you can understand how important it really are to allow a government to function according to the democratic process that is set out within our Constitution. We have seen as of recently where in the UK that members of the government, where they have took stringent measures forcing their leader to resign simply because there were no accountability in governance. There were no transparency, and their leader were making decisions that was contrary to the rule of law. Unlike our country, we have seen where our leader, by the form of prime minister of the country that is, we have seen where the leader of the country took decisions and went ahead to appoint individuals who had serious allegations of corruption, allegations of association, and even probably in being involved in illegal activities. We have had a section of the police service which is considered to be a clinical institution. And they have considered the special branch to be a very clinical institution within the police service, because the special branch would be responsible for bringing information, protecting the national security interests of even not only the country but the government, the opposition, and all stakeholders. We have seen Boris Johnson, the man in charge, had to go, but yet in our country we still support a government who will make worse decisions than Boris Johnson. Worse decisions. We have seen our prime minister. We have seen the mismanagement. We have seen the misrepresentation of the truth on numerous occasions, locally, internationally. We have seen members of the government who continue to flip-flop, who continue to erode what we call the democracy of our country, not only locally but internationally. But yet to the end of the day, because of the example of the prime minister of this country, who have set the stage for his ministers to follow suit by the way in which he controls himself, the way in which, or for a better word, the lack of control of himself, the way in which he will stand before you and he will lie blatantly, not giving the correct account, in some cases joking it off, in other cases with a stone face, and then of course his natural idiotic behavior where he used language, foul language, to distract your minds from the reality of this country. We are in a position where this Keith Rowley, this prime minister, has brought us to the point where it seems as though that no one have respect for law and order, from big to little, from ministry, from the presidency to the ministry, from ministry to corporation, from corporation to schools. Throughout the length and breadth of this country, it is lawlessness. Throughout the rank and file of the government, it is lawlessness. Throughout the cabinet, it is lawlessness. It is discrimination. It is corruption. It is lie. It is pilfering. It is every aspect of lawlessness that occurs at this point in time throughout the government. Added to that, here Fitzgerald Hinds. Here your Minister of National Security, a man who we have seen fail in every ministry, from Patrick Manning to Keith Rowley, fail. Every ministry, this sleepy-haired gentleman fail. We have seen Fitzgerald Hinds describe an incident in the Beetham where approximately a pigtail bucket of diesel went missing within the Beetham. Whether the folks in the Beetham took it to try to sanitize the area with the stench, with the smell, in other words, that was emanating from the Tutu pond and the Tutu drain and every aspect of Tutu in the Beetham. We have seen Fitzgerald Hinds come to the public and speaks of millions of dollars that has been stolen in fuel, and added to that, putting the UNC face to his idiotism. We have seen Fitzgerald Hines speaking about the racial UNC. We have seen that on a post on Facebook, and he described the UNC as racial, as racist, and he went on to make what could be well described as a normal Tutu statement, because it seems as though when he opened his mouth, what comes out in the form of language is nothing short of tutu. So let's read some more tutu from Fitzgerald Hines. There we go. Story by Jesse Ramdale. National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines has hinted Monday's protests in the capital were well funded and organized, but he stopped short of identifying by whom. Speaking at the opening of the Sinclair police station this morning, Hines noted that while citizens have the right to protest, they do not have the right to break the law. He went a step further, saying that police officers have since identified and are monitoring those who allegedly injected money to orchestrate the events that he said impacted law-abiding citizens. Let me stop there for now. Let us stop there for now. So Hines is telling us that he have information that protest that happened last week, it was funded by individuals that he and the police is now monitoring, and that it had created severe impact on the citizens of this country. All right? Keep that in mind. Let me finish the story. Keep that in mind. We now have a very clear picture of what happened in those events, said Hines. Who was paid which money and by whom and how much. So Hines is saying they have the information, they have a clear picture who was paid, what money they was paid, and who paid them that money. So Hines is saying that he and the police have that information. Let's go on. He said, we have a good picture of the who's, the whys, and the whereas, and the police service, as so advised, will continue to keep a good look on this and other such development. So the police service was so advised to continue to keep a good look. So Hines is not telling us that the police service was advised to take action against those who would have paid and those who have received money to cause chaos and mayhem in the capital city. What he is saying to us is that the police service was advised to keep their eyes on those individuals. Let me finish the story. I'm thirsty right now, but let me finish the story. The protests that erupted were a response by residents to what they say was the police killing of 3 men in Port of Spain on Saturday. We will have more on this story as it develops. End that quote. So Fitzgerald Hines is telling you, the public, that the police service is aware who conspired with Beetham residents and pay sums of money to have them commit such act within the capital that create this devastating impact upon the citizens of this country. Hines is also telling us that the police service was advised to keep a look on that situation. So Hines, I want to ask if you are the one who is advising the police service. I want to find out that you, as the Minister of National Security, who is charged with the responsibility of what you do not know, which is to protect the safety, property, and the country from any foreign or domestic threat. Let me help you to understand your responsibility. But today you are saying, one, that is not your job. And two, that the police service is advised just to keep their eyes on things. Well, I am saying, Fitzgerald Hines, if what you are saying is true, then I want to say to you, Fitzgerald Hines, then you must be charged for withholding evidence, one. Withholding evidence, one. Two, probably aiding and abetting to withhold information in an act that really can be considered to be treason. I want to say today that the police commissioner must now search your office, must now seize your devices and find the information that you put in the public domain where you and others have information that people were paid sums of money to conduct and to carry out and to orchestrate this event which occurred a couple days ago. You see,
he understands that there are some who have.
I want to say to you, take this phone, son. I want to say to you people here this afternoon that this gentleman who sleeps on every occasion in the parliament, this gentleman who accustomed bouncing people dog, go anyway, this gentleman who always want to be on top of the class, who always want to have high grade, this high grade gentleman seems as though he wants distinction all the time. So his high grade he need. High grade he seeks because he wants to be on top of the class. I think that you, Fitzgerald Hines, is nothing but an incompetent idiot, and that Ministry of National Security is a ministry that you cannot handle, and is a ministry that is not becoming an individual who is so incompetent, dotish, and spew this kind of rubbish on the social media and in the print media. Talk rubbish, talk tutu all the time in this country, and yet to the end of the day, when you ought to be making contribution as to bring people safe in this country and help people to live safe within this country, that is all you're good to do, sleep. That is all you're good to do. Nothing but a idiot who spew rubbish out his mouth, and as far as I am concerned, a hater of the UNC, and one who will never achieve the competency to really bear the name minister. That is my position. My position. You will tell me something like this. You have information where people were paid and by who? By who paid them? And you telling us today that the police service was so advised to keep a good look. A good look at what? Can be you. And this is the level of incompetence we have because of a leader who is also incompetent. You see, Keith Christopher Rowley will always appoint people like you, people like Foster Cummins, people like Camille Robinson Regis to be inside of his bosom. To be inside of his bosom. You know why? Well, today I will tell you why. I will tell you why today. When you hear, you have a bunch of individuals who fits the capacity of thinking like me, operating like me, you will only want to keep those individuals close, and I'll tell you why. Apart from birds of a feather who do everything together, it also shows a strength that I am able to keep people around me who is, for a better word, more stupid than me. That is why you guys are sitting where all you sit today. Because nothing could be further from that word that they call competence. Nothing could be further. Because you guys just don't cut it. And you guys will continue to follow the footsteps of your prime minister. Because I want to tell you something, Fitzgerald Hines, I believe that what you just said to us is nothing but lies. You know nothing. You have no information. Nobody pay anybody. You're trying to make yourself important. You're trying to make yourself relevant. You're trying to believe that you are a minister. You're trying to make people believe that you are so clever. But everybody knows, Hines, that you are an idiot. And while on that, let me ask you this. Did your wife give out government vouchers inside Jacob Settlement, Santa Flora? Did your wife give out government vouchers inside Jacob Settlement, Santa Flora? And let me break it down some more. In C Street, you know where is C Street? The last street in Jacob Settlement. I want you to answer that. I want you to answer that. And if so, by whose authority? Your wife is a government worker. She works in social services. Tell me, she working with Donna Cox? Tell me, Hines, where she working? With Donna Cox? So let us know now. At least you could answer the question, because I wanted to answer it, I wanted to answer it. You know why I wanted to answer it. You know why. You know why. And let me tell you something. She had to know why too. That's why I want to answer it. You can't answer, or you're playing dumb. You can't answer, I will press it all the time. Because you know why? This program is facts, not fiction, not old talk. Facts. That is what this program is. So that is enough. I'll leave you there for now. Go back and sleep, baby. Sleep, baby, sleep. Sleep. You can close your mouth, but sleep. You stay right there and sleep. You're doing a good job because you're sleeping throughout the whole ministry. Let's move on. Point number 2. Attorneys representing former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday, his wife Oma Panday, former Minister Carlos John, and businessman Ishwar Galbaran Singh. These attorneys have asked the court to discharge Panday and them on charges arising out of the alleged corruption in the Piarco Airport project. Let me give you a history. Back in 1995 to 2000, which we could consider about 2 decades, we have seen a number of inquiry. Inquiry 1, Inquiry 2, Inquiry 3, and Inquiry 4. 4 inquiries. But this inquiry began in 2006 on May the 31st. After the 4 were charged in 2005, about 2 years later, Espinet, who was the magistrate, was asked to recuse herself from presiding over this matter. Today, we're going to go back a little bit to see how long the Cosa Nostra exists. Today, we are going back a little bit to see how long this Cosa Nostra exists. So Espinet, who was presiding over this inquiry 3 back in 2006, after Panday and them was charged in 2005, Espinet was asked to recuse herself from the matter. You see, certain information came to the public domain where she, Espinet, were involved inside the bosom of the PNM. You see, Espinet was a trustee and a treasurer of the Maurice Marshall Development Foundation. Who was Maurice Marshall? Maurice Marshall was an MP from Laventille, and in 1986 he was one who were left standing in the 33 tree by the NAR. He was one of the three. But ladies and gentlemen, while Espinette was asked to recuse herself, seeing that she had strong ties, allegedly with the PNM, while sitting as a magistrate who will hear and make determination in a case where the opposition, who at the time was Pandey and others. So while she will preside over the matter, while being allegedly affiliated with the People's National Movement and the Maurice Marshall Foundation, who was a PNM MP, she refused to recuse herself, something that Alwari and Stuart Young love to do when it is in the interest of benefiting them. She refused to recuse herself from a matter which, because of her position and affiliation, it is not only an apparent bias in law, but it is an outright bias. You see, justice must not only be fair, it must also appear to be fair. And she, as a magistrate, must have known that in that case a matter can and would be compromised. And therefore, in the interest of justice and in the interest of the taxpayer dollar, she must know that she ought to recuse herself. But she refused. She refused. And she carried the matter straight down to 2018, when she would have reached her time to resign from the magistracy. But my question as we going on is why would she wants to hold on to that office. And it reminds me of an individual who was offered the opportunity to become a judge, but choose to hold on to a particular office. We will get to that. But let's go on. Time is running. But ladies and gentlemen, why would this magistrate wants to hold on to that position and to sit at the hem to hear that matter? But let's go on. Let's move on. Coming out of that, ladies and gentlemen, on Wednesday, Pandey and others made a virtual appearance before another magistrate, Adaya Mohammed. Another magistrate. But at this hearing, on Wednesday, the magistrate made it known that she had received authorization to restart the Pandey matter, to restart inquiry 3. The same one that left abandoned by SPNet in 2018, she have received instructions a couple Wednesdays ago to restart the said matter. And at the same time, the attorneys for the state in the said matter requested that the magistrate grant an adjournment for them to receive instructions from the Director of Public Prosecution, Roger Gaspard, Senior Counsel, on exactly how the matter ought to proceed. I want a little listen good. But just the week before, Pandey and them appeared virtually in the Port of Spain court. 5 law lords at the Privy Council rule that those charged in the Piarco Inquiry 1 ought not to have been committed to stand trial by the late Chief Magistrate Sherman McNichols. 2 days after the law lords make that ruling, listen, you know, people. 2 days after the law lord make that ruling, in the Privy Council, that they should have never be committed to stand trial in that Inquiry 1 proceedings. Roger Gaspard, the DPP, issued a news release 2 days after the Privy Council ruling, the DPP, Roger Gaspard, issue a news release. And I quote, saying, it has always been his position that taking Piarco Inquiry 1 to trial would have been oppressive. All you understand what I'm saying? Or all you lost? The same DPP, Roger Gaspard, issue a statement telling we, the taxpayer, who pay millions of dollars in that inquiry, that it has always been his intention. In other words, that trial would have been oppressive. A nice word to tell you that that trial would have been biased, wicked intention. But why? Why didn't the DPP withdrew that matter from the court if it was his intention never to send it to trial? Why the DPP did not stop it? He has the power. He has the power. He has the authority to withdraw, to stop, to not to offer evidence, to cut any deal with any witness. He have the power in his hand. Why, after the law Lord ruling, the DPP now telling us that that matter was an oppressive matter? Why didn't you withdraw it, DPP Roger Gaspard? But why? Why would the 5 law lords make that kind of pronouncement? Well, let me tell you why here this evening. Why McNichols? Why that matter, that McNichols ruling had no right to reach there? And let me tell you something. I ain't defending nobody. I defending the principles of natural justice, and I want to expose how long the Cosa Nostra exists. So let me tell you why here this evening. You see, PNM McNichols was in the same boat just like the rest of the Cosa Nostra people. The Sicilian Mafia. The Sicilian Mafia that exists in Trinidad and Tobago. Why would McNichols go to the PNM to make such an allegation about Chief Justice Satnarayan Sharma? Why would McNichols go to the PNM John Jeremy, who was the Attorney General at the time, to report to the PNM that Sat Sharma were trying to influence him to make a judgment in favor of Basdio Pandey in Pandey's integrity matter? You see, PNM McNichols did not go to the Commissioner of Police. He went to associates. He went to those who had him in that strategic position. He went to those who he have confided and probably leak sensitive information over the years. So he went to John Jeremy, not the commissioner of police. And here it was that this story was cooked up and put in the oven and baked, that Satnarayan Sharma wanted to pervert the cause of justice and to allow Basdeo Pandey to have a favorable judgment in the integrity matter. Huh. So when he said that Sharma tried to influence him to do this, what happened was immediately the then Patrick Manning went to work. And Patrick Manning decided to institute impeachment proceedings against Sharma. You see, when the PNM out to get you, they out to get you, they will go at any length and breadth. They will go at any length necessary, lawful or unlawful, simply because they want you. But hear what happened. Hear what happened. My time is running like a piece. How much time I left? Somebody tell me quick. Right. I have a few minutes, about 15 minutes. Right, Archie? So let me tell you quickly what happened. So Patrick Manning, they started impeachment proceedings. And here it was. Warrants were issued for Satnarayan Sharma. And things started to happen. And the news media started to paint the story. They tried to paint Satnarayan Sharma as a UNC. But they're not painting Iva Archie as a PNM. They tried to paint Satnarayan Sharma as this big UNC Chief Justice. I am asking, why only paint Iva Archie as a PNM? Why? Don't get me wrong, you know. I ain't say he's a PNM, you know. But if all you paint one UNC, why only paint the next one PNM? Media boy. All you dirty dogs. So what happened is that Bacchanal start. So the matter went to the Privy Council. I had to boil up here now. And when it went to the Privy Council, $26 million was spent. When the matter went to the appeal court, Satnarayan Sharma won the matter before Madam Justice Judith Jones. The same Judith Jones who prepared the report with all the PNM pedophiles. Let me retract that. Let me retract that statement. Judith Jones, who prepared the report with the pedophiles that interfered with the children within the home. Same justice. Competent. Credible. Satnarayan Sharma won his matter. But the state decided to appeal it. But guess what? They ain't appealing AV drilling arbitration. They ain't appealing that. Or they know why? They paint Satnarayan Sharma as a UNC. Well, I painted AV drilling as a PNM. I painted him. Rowdy, I love you like a sturdy. What they think is only alone can wine. Yes. So they ain't appealing that. Because it's PNM people involved. But they appeal Judith Jones' decision. So it went to the Privy Council. And when it went to the Privy Council, let me tell you something. Boy, 26 million spent. Let me tell you some of the lawyers who represent the state and the PNM. Let me tell you some of them. Douglas Mendez, Ian Benjamin, Colin Kangaloo, Stuart Young, Gilbert Peterson, Let me ask something one time. Gilbert Peterson asked some questions here for you quick, boy. Gilbert Peterson, so since you was one of the lawyers, long time, working for your people, let me ask you some question here today. Gilbert Peterson, were you Rowley lawyer in the Landgate affair? Answer. Gilbert Peterson, were you Rowley lawyer in Rowley Integrity Commission matter? Gilbert Peterson, are you the chairman of the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago dealing with radio and television licenses? Gilbert Peterson, are you the holder of a bunker license which will allow you to purchase and sell fuel not only on land but also on the high seas? Gilbert Peterson, are you in possession of any lease in relation to Petrotrin or Heritage Tank Farm storage facility? Gilbert Peterson, are you still Keith Rowley personal lawyer? Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. All you know what that is, ladies and gentlemen? Radio license and television license, which the government deal with. I asked him if he is the chairman. You see, when you hold those strategic positions and a radio station bringing out the facts that the government believe weakening their strength, it takes nothing but a phone call to the owner of the radio station and say, boy, watch now, like, I want to get renewed. That is all it takes, you know. That's all it takes. But let's move on. Let's move on. So I asked Gilbert Peterson if he holds any lease for any Petrotrin or Heritage tank farm facility where gas and diesel and so on could be stored. And I am very curious. I want to get into more to find out more about how this high seas and purchase and sell fuel, because you see, I believe if I selling fuel on the high seas, then I could sell, nobody didn't come into land, nobody knowing what happening. I could sell to Russia, I could sell to Ukraine, I could sell to St. Vincent, I could sell to Grenada, and I could also sell to Venezuela. You see, this make me remember Wilma Rupelti. This make me remember Wilma Rupelti. This also makes me remember the high delegation from PDVSA that came to see Stuart Young and the Prime Minister, and they tell us that they didn't know was PDVSA high officials, and they tell us that they come to discuss COVID-19. That is where we are in this country. But putting that aside for now, I am asking today, I am asking, ladies and gentlemen, how far does this Cosa Nostra run in this country? This Cosa Nostra is a matter of fact, the Sicilian mafia in this country have appointed people at every top position in your country. And when they appoint people in every top position in the country, what you can know, what you will know, and nothing would be the same. So all that is happening in this country today, ladies and gentlemen, by the Sicilian Mafia, which is the Cosa Nostra in this country, you do not have a clue what's going on. Business will take place under your eyes, and it would be disguised as a legal arrangement. You will hear government telling you that every deal that they enter into with any national or international company, you will hear they tell you that there is a clause that is called the oath of secrecy. You will hear they tell you that in the pandemic that they have entered into arrangement with China in terms of vaccine and goods for billions of dollars that they borrow, and they will tell you within the clause it's a clause of secrecy where they cannot divulge information to you, the taxpayer, to understand what's happening. The Cosa Nostra, the code of secrecy. They will leave and go Australia and purchase vessels, and you will never know the arrangement because the Sicilian Mafia entered within the agreement the code of secrecy. They will remove the procurement legislation. They will water it down, and yet they will not even utilize that which they have watered down because of the Sicilian Mafia, which institute inside of the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago the code of secrecy, which is the Cosa Nostra. You will see your Speaker of the House behaving in a particular way, and you will see that no information would be forthcoming, and she will shut down and she will stop any question that will bring you aware of what is happening in government. She is placed there by the Sicilian Mafia, and that is how they place their individuals in strategic office to institute the code of secrecy, the Cosa Nostra. You will see, ladies and gentlemen,
we keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra.
Ladies and gentlemen, you will see a Chief Justice where the Law Association would plead for an impeachment hearing, and the Prime Minister will turn down that impeachment hearing by telling you that there is not enough evidence. I am saying to you today, my people, be careful of the Sicilian Mafia and the code of secrecy. You will see the Prime Minister mash up a police service commission because of a police commissioner who will not conform himself to the code of secrecy. The Prime Minister will tell you he have lost confidence because he said that if you are to break the code of secrecy, we will destroy you politically. That's the Sicilian Mafia. That is the Cosa Nostra. Ladies and gentlemen, you better wake up. You better wake up in this country. When you see the highest office, the presidency, will conspire and allow the prime minister to influence her to go contrary to the constitution. That is the Sicilian mafia. That's how they keep the code of secrecy. When you hear a DPP would not answer questions until it reach to judicial review, you better be careful. You better be careful that it's not the code of secrecy, the Cosa Nostra. Be careful. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you that this is no longer about the UNC. This have to be about saving your country. Let me go a step further. Anything and everything is better than this Keith Rowley administration. Because Beckers, Manning, Stuart Young, Alwari, Sinanan, the whole team, they will never take into consideration the behavior of the UK against the leader. They will sit down here because they have made politics a career. They have made politics a career. And when you make politics a career, ladies and gentlemen, and there is nothing that you can fall back to, that is the danger, because very soon you may very well be supportive of even your own execution in this country. Tonight, I call on Trinidad and Tobago to stand up, look to the outside world, look to the outside world, and let us stand together and shout with one voice, just as the children who shout against the walls of Jericho, and 7 times they march round the walls of Jericho, and 7 times they shout. And you know what happened? The walls of Jericho came tumbling down. Take this into consideration. Take this into consideration. Even though the numbers who walk around Jericho was much smaller than those who occupy Jericho. Today, Trinidad and Tobago, I am telling you, the time has come for us to walk and for us to shout, and shout 7 times, and then we will get fairness, we will get justice, we will get equity, and we will get good government. God bless. I out.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.
Fine and equal place.
Yeah, Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When the youth them we got to try to Victor vibes. If you want to see a better life, yeah, share the light. When you use them, no, we got to try.
So I am calling